somewhere between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. There's a stretch of ocean that has swallowed ships, planes, and entire crews, without wreckage, without a distress call, without a trace. Over the last century, more than 1,000 lives have vanished inside this one patch of the Atlantic. Naval investigators have opened files on it. The US Coast Guard has issued official statements about it. And yet, decades later, we still don't have one clean answer for why so many disappearances cluster in this exact stretch of water. Is it rogue waves? Methane eruptions from the seafloor? Magnetic anomalies that scramble navigation? Or is some of it simply human error and bad luck dressed up as legend? Today we are separating the documented facts from the myth. This is Unknown World. Let's go in. Every Bermuda Triangle story eventually circles back to one case, Flight 19. On December 5, 1945, 5 U.S. Navy Avenger torpedo bombers took off from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, on a routine training mission. 14 airmen were aboard. The flight leader, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, was an experienced combat pilot. Partway through the exercise, something went wrong. Radio transmissions, later recovered from tower recordings, capture Taylor sounding disoriented, reporting that his compasses weren't working, that he didn't recognize the coastline below him, and that he believed the flight was over the Florida Keys when controllers insisted they were much farther east. As daylight faded and fuel ran low, the transmissions grew more tense. And then, nothing. All 5 aircraft, and all 14 men, vanished. No wreckage was ever found. Making it worse, a rescue seaplane, a Martin Mariner with 13 crew aboard, was dispatched to search for them that same night. It also disappeared. A merchant ship later reported witnessing what looked like a mid-air explosion in the area around the time the Mariner would have been flying. That particular aircraft model had a known issue with fuel vapor buildup that made it prone to catastrophic explosions, a mechanical detail investigators consider likely, even though it isn't universally proven for this specific flight. The official Navy report on Flight 19 concluded the disappearance was cause unknown, not because of any supernatural finding, but because, in the Navy's own words, it was as if the flight had flown to Mars. That single phrase is arguably the origin point of the entire modern Bermuda Triangle legend. Flight 19 made headlines, but it's far from the only case, and the ship disappearances are, in some ways, even stranger. Take the USS Cyclops. In March 1918, this massive US Navy cargo ship, over 500 feet long, carrying more than 300 people, left Barbados heading to Baltimore. It never sent a distress signal. It never arrived. No wreckage was ever recovered. To this day, the disappearance of the Cyclops remains the single largest loss of life in US Navy history not caused by combat. Then there's the SS Marine Sulphur Queen, a tanker that vanished in 1963 with 39 crew aboard, leaving behind only a few life jackets and an oil slick. And Tinmouth Electron, the trimaran of solo sailor Donald Crowhurst, found drifting empty in 1969, its logbooks revealing a haunting descent into isolation and fabricated position reports before Crowhurst himself vanished from the boat entirely. What connects these cases isn't a monster or a portal. It's a pattern, sudden disappearance, calm seeming conditions, and often zero wreckage. In deep ocean trenches, and the Bermuda Triangle sits near some of the deepest water in the Atlantic, over 27,000 feet down in the Puerto Rico Trench. A sunken vessel can become effectively unrecoverable, and debris can scatter across miles of current before anyone starts looking. That doesn't explain everything, but it explains a lot more of the vanished without a trace mystique than most viral videos ever mention. So what does science actually say? One theory that gained real traction involves methane hydrates, frozen deposits of methane gas, trapped under the seafloor. Researchers, including teams from the University of Bergen in Norway studying craters found in the seabed off Norway's coast, demonstrated that a large methane release could genuinely reduce water density. enough to sink a ship almost instantly, and could ignite in a way that might bring down low-flying aircraft. It's a legitimate, peer-reviewed geological phenomenon. Whether it has actually happened at the frequency needed to explain Bermuda Triangle cases is still debated, but it moved the conversation from sea monster to credible geophysics. Second theory, rogue waves. 4 decades, sailors reporting 80 to 100 foot. Walls of water appearing from nowhere were dismissed as exaggerating. Then, in 1995, a laser-measured rogue wave nearly 26 meters high was recorded hitting the Draupner oil platform in the north. See, hard scientific proof that these waves are real, and far more common than physics models used to predict. A wave like that, hitting a vessel at night with no warning, could sink a ship in minutes, leaving virtually no debris field. Third, the compass problem. The Bermuda Triangle happens to sit in one of the only 2 places on Earth where true north and magnetic north align exactly, meaning compass variation is 0. Pilots and sailors unfamiliar with this specific quirk, expecting a standard correction, could genuinely misnavigate, which lines up almost perfectly with the disoriented radio transmissions from Flight 19's own pilot. None of these theories require anything paranormal, but taken together, they paint a real picture. This is a stretch of ocean with unusually deep trenches, sudden storms, freak wave conditions, and a magnetic quirk that has fooled experienced navigators before. Now here's the part that might actually surprise you. Much of the mystery isn't in the ocean at all. It's in the reporting. In 1975, researcher and librarian Larry Cush published a detailed investigation called The Bermuda Triangle Mystery. Solved. He went back through original insurance records, Coast Guard logs, and newspaper archives for dozens of the most famous unexplained triangle cases, and found something uncomfortable for the legend. Several incidents had documented explanations that popular books had simply left out. Some ships were never actually lost in the triangle's boundaries at all. Their locations either misreported, or the triangle boundaries stretched to fit the story. Some disappearances happened during recorded hurricanes that vanished from later retellings entirely. The US Coast Guard has stated plainly that it does not recognize the Bermuda Triangle as an area of specific danger, and maritime insurance company Lloyd's of London has confirmed it does not charge higher premiums for ships passing through it, a telling detail, since insurers base rates purely on statistical risk, not folklore. Statistically, when researchers compare the number of disappearances to the sheer volume of ship and air traffic passing through the region, it's one of the busiest shipping and flight corridors on Earth. The incident rate does not stand out from other heavily trafficked, storm-prone ocean areas. That's not as thrilling as a portal to another dimension, but it might be the most important fact in this entire video. So where does that leave us? The Bermuda Triangle almost certainly isn't a supernatural anomaly. It's a genuinely dangerous natural environment, sudden hurricanes, some of the deepest ocean trenches on the planet, a rare magnetic alignment that has confused real pilots, and heavy traffic that guarantees more incidents will simply occur there by volume alone. And on top of a real, hazardous stretch of ocean, we layered decades of selective storytelling, authors leaving out the parts of a story that didn't fit the myth, because the myth sold more books. But here's the thing worth sitting with. Flight 19 is still real. 14 missing airmen is still real. The USS Cyclops and its 300-plus crew are still real. Stripping away the exaggeration doesn't erase the tragedy. It just means the true story is about the raw danger of the ocean itself, not a monster hiding beneath it. Maybe that's the most unsettling part of all. Not a mystical force, but the reminder that nature alone, without any myth attached, is powerful enough to make ships and planes vanish forever. If mysteries like this are exactly what you come here for, subscribe to Unknown World. We've got a lot more unexplained places, forgotten disappearances, and unsolved cases coming your way. Which mystery should we dig into next? Drop it in the comments below. This has been Unknown World. Stay curious.